when we were on set, I was ready for like the fire gel, like, okay, so we're going to light me on fire. We're going to get the shot. It's going to be good. Whatever. It is what it is. And then I get there. I'm ready. I say, okay, so we doing the fire one now? They go, yeah, we're setting up for the fire. It's like, okay, so we're going to gel me up for the fire? And fucking Mao and Elgot come around the corner. They got like alcohol and Axe body spray. They're like, this is how we're doing it. And so I think they wanted me to freak the fuck out. But I think I paused for like 1 second. I was like, all right, let's do this quick. Let's just get it done. Hello and welcome to Films and Fika. I have been here for the last 4 episodes. I am Larry, and you know him. You come here every fucking time for him. It is my man Mao.
Hello.
Say hi to Mao.
Hello, how are y'all?
Right. I'm sure they're fine. You're here. I'm sure they're perfect. Now, I have been for the past 4 episodes filling in for Elgot, who he fucking decided to get a job.
What a dick.
And work up in the mountains in Sweden, of all places. It's like he lives there.
Yeah. No,
Great.
but I like having you on, Larry, just because you're nicer to me than Elgot. Elgot just shits on me sometimes. And it's like,
You say I'm nicer to you, and every time we talk about Elgot, you're like, fuck him. We don't need him.
no, in all honesty, people know that me and Elgot have a very good relationship. And I mean, the reason why we have a podcast that is close to 50 episodes now is because of that. And we miss him. Larry's here to fill that void in our hearts. I was gonna say bearded void, but for you guys who's watching the video, y'all know that Larry doesn't have a beard anymore, so he fucked up my joke anyways.
Wait, hold up.
Tell us,
Go for it.
now he can feel your bearded holes.
Now I'm Commissioner Gordon.
That sounds very weird and sexual. Bearded holes. Damn,
I think we have to make things sexual today. That's gonna work with the movie. I think everything needs to have a little bit of sexuality to it.
Yeah.
Sure. So just so you know, I still am bearded. I'm winking to the people that can't listen. But in all actuality, I'm not bearded. I shave that shit every other day. That's the truth.
So, guys, as y'all know from the title, we're talking about Crash, but not the 2004 political drama. We're talking about David Cronenberg's Crash, which is a very different film.
Very different. I don't want to ruin expectations as of right now, but I will. I definitely enjoyed the 2004 one way more. I don't think this one was for me at all.
It's a movie, all right. Spoiler alert, Francis Ford Coppola hated it too.
I'm not sure if I hated it. I just really didn't care for it.
But before we get into it, Larry, let's, have a little chat before the movie Fika.
So I just want to say that back in the day, I've actually spoken to, physically touched this man on the other end of the screen. And I physically touched the other guy that's not here. We worked on some films together. The first thing we ever worked on was, I don't even know what you guys ended up calling it, but I know the copy I have is called Pineapple Lover.
I think it's still
and how
called
that
yes.
worked out. Yeah. What was that for?
I think that was an editing project. We had to do, I'm pretty sure it was an editing project. The only premise given to us by our teacher was that the main character had to wake up on screen, which is funny to me now because every student film starts with that. So I think he was trying to poke fun. Like he was trying to poke fun at it before it was funny to us because we hadn't really done much at that point. But yeah, every student film starts with that. And I think that's what he wanted.
Well, here's the crazy cool thing about that. So you had a script. You were gonna do this film. This was like your thesis film.
Yeah.
You went for a certain. I don't want to just say like Latino because I don't know if that's the right word. What did you go for?
I went for a Spanish-speaking cast. Yeah.
Yeah, Spanish-speaking cast. So here's the thing. I did a scene of that. What's it called? Let's get the title out there so people can look this up. I don't know how they're gonna find it, but this is so they can look it up.
My thesis film is like hidden. It's not out. But it's called "Quién eres." So it translates to who you are.
Right the fuck on. So I got a little email from a teacher saying, "Hey, we need some actors for this class. Can you come in?" So I come into this class, and I end up doing this little scene with this other actor named Joe, great guy, and we did a little scene from his thesis film. Went well, I think. And then
really fun.
A few months later, I get a text last minute. Hey, it's a rainy day. We had this actor lined up and he couldn't make it. Larry, are you free? And I was like, well, I'm at a job interview right now, but like I can head over right after. Can you send me the script? So they sent me the script. It's like, it was only 2-3 pages long, and there's like 6 characters. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so which one am I? And they go, oh, you're all of them. I go, oh, okay. So
yes,
I learned the entire script on the way from the audition to the location. I was on the bus just doing it, making sure I wasn't missing any stops. And we got there, and I don't think I looked at that script after we got there, so that I did all right.
Yeah.
So we filmed that. We played multiple. I played multiple characters. I said we. I played multiple characters in that, and then the very next thing that I can think of that we did together was, what did the title we went with? It was Awkward Times.
Yeah.
And at that time, you and Algot sent me scripts. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, because maybe I might have an ego now. Algot and you both said that you wrote your scripts with me in mind.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, after after we graduated, we were on a time crunch to realistically do as many projects as we could before we had to leave Canada. And we both wanted to make shorts again. Basically, we wanted to take everything that we had learned working on our own theses and then other thesis films, and try and put that to work. So we put a lot more time into pre-production, and we try and make everything so that we could be mindful of what we were shooting. Instead of shooting just coverage, we wanted to make these films. We wanted to make them. Well, it's actually a two-sided answer. On the one hand, Algot wanted to do he wanted to do as little as possible in terms of budget. He wanted to do a micro budget short, where it was we use everything that we have. We don't buy anything. We don't buy props. We don't buy location dressings. We don't pay our talent. The idea was to have it be micro budget friend thing where we just create something. And then I wanted to do something where we did spend a little bit more on the budget, but also that felt more thought through than the rest of the approaches that we had worked on. Not that they weren't thought through, but you're a student and you shoot for coverage because that's what they teach you to do. Right. So it was like those two experiments that we wanted to do. Awkward Times being the micro budget one. And the fun of I think the fun part about that is that it went from being a micro budget thing to being a 24-hour thing, where it was we're already here. We're already about halfway done with this film. Why don't we just shoot all of it right now? And we were all okay with that, and we were all like, yeah, okay, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, I think I don't think maybe you guys were there for 24 hours. I think we shot for about maybe 16 of those. I remember getting the script. Now this is at the point like I was just in film school. I hadn't even, maybe I did have an agent at that point. I don't even remember. But I was just like, man, I don't want to do comedies. I'm so over this. Haven't even started my career or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then Elgot's like, yo, I wrote this with you in mind, and I read it, and I was like, oh, I laughed out loud.
Yeah.
Okay, I will definitely want to do this. Plus, it was just a sweet little story. Like we talked last week how we like rom-coms. There was like little mixes of that in it, and I was like, I would love to do like a rom-com type deal. So this worked. So I played that character kind of just like me. I didn't really make so much a character as that was Larry. Just changed his name to Brad. But yeah, I remember being on set, and I don't know if anybody's ever going to see that film, but we shot that thing 3 different ways. So you could easily get a PG version, which is like what the script was, PG-13 if with some editing, and definitely you can get an R in there because when we got to go in improv, we did some shit. Can we talk about the fire prank?
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, when we did Pineapple Lover, I was 6 different characters. In this script, there was more than 6 Brads. So I had to be a bunch of different Brads. And one of them gets lit on fire. So basically, long story short, Brad meets this girl, and he's just smitten, like just starstruck with her, and he wants there to be something, but he fucks up all his interactions. However, he's got this time travel watch, so he just goes back and redoes things. So one of the guys fucks up, and he just pops up on fire. You have no idea how he shows up on fire, but he's just on fire.
Great.
So when we were on set, I was ready for like the fire gel, like, okay, so we're going to light me on fire. We're going to get the shot. It's going to be good. Whatever. It is what it is. And then I get there. I'm ready. I say, okay, so we doing the fire one now? They go, yeah, we're setting up for the fire. It's like, okay, so we're going to gel me up for the fire? And fucking Mao and Elgot come around the corner. They got like alcohol and Axe body spray. They're like, this is how we're doing it. And so I think they wanted me to freak the fuck out, but I think I paused for like 1 second. I was like, all right, let's do this quick. Let's just get it done.
Yeah. No, we were, like I said, everything about Awkward Times is like, it's a very fun moment in my memory just because everything was so friendly. Like we've both worked on sets enough to know that the energy is not always the same, and it's not always, let's call it free flowing or like nice to be around. Sometimes sets are very dense, and you can feel the friction between certain crew members, and you can feel the friction between the cast. And what I really like about Awkward Times is that we were all friends, right? We wrote these parts, the one in Awkward Times and the one in Domus, for you because we wanted to work with someone that we liked, right? We wanted to work with someone that we knew we enjoy working with, we knew would bring his best to it. And it was just like, okay, Larry's going to, provide that. And we're excited to have him on. And then everyone in the crew, they were all our friends. They were our dear close friends. And it was just so much fun.
Still are.
But yeah, when the fire came around, Alga just wanted to fuck with you. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. But realistically, we knew that it had to be CGI because we were in someone else's apartment. And we can't logistically set fire to you. But it was fun. It was really nice. I think I don't know if Alga's ever going to put it out. But I know
I hope he does.
A lot of fun.
I'll tell you, Elgot, if you're listening, the cut I have is one of my favorite things that I've done. So I'd really, really like that out there. And if not, if you still have all the footage, send it to me. Oh my God, I'll make 3 fucking cuts of it.
it works really well, and he worked his ass off on the VFX for the cut that you have.
Yeah.
Like, because time travel rules are what the creator wants them to be, and Naga wanted it to be like every time that Brad goes back, he goes back as like a different variant of himself. So then there's a scene where all of these are like together and they're interacting with each other because he's gone back so many times trying to get this girl, which I thought was great. I really liked that. I think Elgat, when he deals with time travel, he always brings something fun to it because he really likes the trope. So yeah, I think it was a lot of fun.
Elgot, if you are actually listening to this episode, I want you to know, before I went to film school, I wanted to make a time travel trilogy, but like an anthology. So they would just cover different theories of time travel with the same actors and same filmmakers. So, get at me if you're listening to this.
That sounds awesome.
Other than that, you sent me a script that was not a comedy. That was totally different than anything I'd ever had an opportunity to do. And I was fucking stoked to do it. I had that shit down. I was ready to go. And then what happened?
It went into pre-production hell, basically. We had locations lined up. We had you guys, like the talent lined up. We had started to look into how we're going to dress the set, how we're going to dress you guys, how we're going to do the makeup, because it's a pretty makeup heavy piece towards the end there. And then, everything started falling apart, mainly the location, because we both wanted these shorts to be as inexpensive as possible. But I wanted a very specific location, type of location. So when you have that constraint per se, you have very limited options, and we lucked it like a month before we were supposed to shoot, and we were pretty lucky because it was exactly what I wanted it to be, and it was not going to cost us anything because one of our friends lived there, and Algot lived there too. However, the week that we were gonna shoot.
Yeah, literally the week.
Yeah, literally the week that we were going to shoot, the landlady told Amy and Algot that she was planning on doing renovations, but that it wouldn't mess up with the upper part of the house, and that we would be able to use it anyways. And then we were like, okay, you can't wait until we're done. And she said, no, but don't worry about it. I'm just working on the downstairs area. Flash forward a couple of days, we're like a couple of days out from shooting, and the landlady calls again.
I think we were like 2. It was really close.
Yeah, it was really, really close. And the landlady calls Amy again, and she's like, hey, so we were doing a couple of things on the staircase, and basically the contractor fucked up, and now there's like a huge crack going up the wall of the stairs, and it affected the structure of part of Algot's room. So now it became a bit of a hazard to have us there, because there was like so much construction dust, and now it was like structurally unstable, I guess. Like not necessarily unstable to the point where it might fall down with us there, but enough for us to know that it might have been a problem if we were in there with all the gear and the crew and stuff. And I've always been the type of person who thinks that things happen when they need to happen, and if they don't happen, then they didn't need to happen. And instead of freaking out and stressing about it and having me and Amy go insane trying to find a secondary location, which we did, even though we did, at some point, I was just like, we have about 3 weeks left together, and we were planning to do this project and another one. So we did one, and I'd rather like spend the next weeks that I have with you guys together instead of trying to figure this out. And,
Yeah.
It was sad. I enjoyed that script a lot, even though some of my teachers called it whack. But
really, well, I'm gonna discuss the script, and then I'm gonna ask you your inspirations for it. Like, what motivated you? Because I can see a clear. Maybe I'm wrong, but I see some psycho elements in there. For anybody who doesn't know movies, Alfred Hitchcock made Psycho.
Yes.
So, if anybody doesn't know who Alfred Hitchcock is, go watch his movies and then come back to this podcast.
Yes.
So anyway, long story short, my character would have been
Humbert.
Humbert was his name. And he's married, got a nice wife, nice family thing going on. They don't have kids or anything yet, but they're happy. Everything's wonderful. And he wakes up in the night and he hears these noises, but she doesn't hear them. She doesn't react to them. Things just happen. He ends up ignoring them, lives his life. Everything's going well. Later on in this film, we find out what the noises are. And we also find out that his wife, Natasha, who he's got this really nice relationship with, it's not that she's not real. She is real. She's just not alive. She's dead.
Correct.
He had kept her body after he did some things to her. And the noises he's hearing is his next victim up in the attic.
Yep.
And so he kind of confronts the one up in the attic because, you're supposed to be a fucking guest in this house. Keep it down. What are you making these noises for? I'm here living with my wife.
Yeah.
You're part of this family now. I'm trying to get you in here. Why are you being such a cunt? Shit like that. Then we also find out that he's messed up in more ways than that because anytime he talks to his wife, not only is it in his head, he kind of treats it like he's a ventriloquist. So he's talking for her. Now, here's the thing. I worked on my ventriloquism. I tried to get it down as best as possible. The second this thing fell through, I was honestly really, really bummed because I was really looking forward to this. I would have loved to have seen this. Would have loved to have made it. Just spend the time going here because it would have been, I'm sure it would have been fun as fuck on set. And then to see the actual film, you'd be like, were they having fun? Like it's not really a fun script per se. But I was in, and I think we had discussed some other things. Like, so earlier on, he would look more normal or whatever. And then as it progressed, he would look more disheveled and shitty and messy and all that stuff. And honestly, I've gone some character work and spoken with directors where we just totally disagree on it. And I just go with it. Okay, well, it's your vision, so I'll go. But this is one of the rare times for me where we were seeing eye to eye on everything. We were totally on board. So I think if we ever get a chance to make this, I think we're going to fucking slay it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the script came about in so many different ways, and I really enjoyed the process of putting it together. When it comes to inspirations and stuff, if we're talking about specifically that last bit with the ventriloquism and stuff,
all of it, man.
That's definitely Psycho. That was a big Psycho moment for me. Without necessarily spoiling a very old movie, but yeah, for sure. I think it's not necessarily that I took it and saw it from Psycho and I was like, I want to use this. But eventually after I wrote it, I was like, oh, no, this is definitely very much reminiscent of Psycho.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to say that you're ripping off Psycho. I'm just saying like there was some type of inspiration in there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I feel like when you start creating, and even like every time that you create, you pull inspiration from the stuff that you've seen before and that you've seen, and that you gravitated towards. And I've always liked serial killer, very weird, creepy, even a little bit fetishistic stories. And I like putting work into my work. For example, Humbert, the character Humbert is called Humbert because of the character in Lolita, which is a book that Stanley Kubrick also adapted. I haven't seen the adaptation, but I read the book in high school.
There's There's 2 adaptations as far as I know. There was a remake in 1997. I'm not sure if it's like The Shining, where Kubrick didn't keep it like the book, but I know, as far as I know, the 1997 one is closer to the book.
Correct.
And it's got, oh my God, Jeremy Irons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like Kubrick really puts a different twist on adapting a work because he always makes it his own. The Shining is probably the best example, but from what I understand, he always deviated from the source material of the novels that he adapted. But when he came to that, so Humbert's character's name is because of the main character in Lolita, and Natasha is the first name of a girl who was kidnapped and she was held hostage, and she developed a kind of like Stockholm syndrome for her captor. So that's why her name is Natasha. And then the first kind of few sequences in the short where we see all of this like beautiful 1950s kind of like Americana, that was heavily not inspired, but to me all of that sequence came from listening to 50s and 60s music, where I just feel it has a very powerful image inducing rhythm and sound. So that's where those came in. And then, at first, the second girl, the one that's up in the attic, she was supposed to be a child, like an actual child, because he wants to expand the family, right? But because child actors in Canada are so heavily like, what's the word I'm looking for here? They're regulated. Molested. Wow. No, that like for you to hire a child actor, you have to go through a bunch of steps. Even if it's like non-ACTRA, there's still a bunch of steps, and you still have to deal with the parents. And in this case, I had to convince the parents of someone that I didn't know that as a 21, 22-year-old, I wanted to make this movie where I'm putting their child into this. Like there was nothing working for me in this argument. It's like, it's probably going to be very little paid. It's not necessarily family friendly.
Hold up, you were going to pay them?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like if it was a child, I would have probably had to pay them. Yeah, so it didn't work out for it to be a child. So it had to be another girl. And we were going to hire we were going to contact a friend of ours who looks relatively young. So it could have been like, well, I guess she's like 15. So it still can make a little bit of sense.
Right.
And then there's a scene where Humbert and Natasha are dancing along to music that I took straight out of The Quiet Place, because I think that's like my favorite scene out of that film, where it's just like such a tender and specific moment between John Krasinski and Emily Blunt's characters. So yeah, it's just, I don't know where the fucked upness came from it. It was also very weird in tone because Natasha is very clumsy because she's a corpse. But we don't know that she's a corpse. So there was a weird kind of like comedic element to certain interactions between her and Humbert, where it's like she's clumsy and she's distracted, and it's not that she's all that. At the end of the movie, the point is that you realize that, it's because she's dead. That's why she fell in the shower and stuff like that.
And that's why there was the little fire, because he just put her there and he started up the stove or the oven top.
Yeah.
So like she wasn't actually moving. Yeah.
No, but a couple of the teachers at school shat all over that script.
No shit, really? Why was that?
They felt it was whack. They felt it was too.
That's how they do it. This is whack. They said the words whack.
There's a specific word in English that I can't think of, where it's like when you want to say quirky, but you mean it in a negative way.
Oh, so quirky.
Maybe. No, I mean, like, it was just, they thought it was too cartoony that he did the voice. They thought that it was such a weird tone dissidence at the end, where it's like
You should have told them it was Larry doing it, and they maybe would have been like, "Oh, okay, I've seen him do some shit."
I feel like also because my thesis film was a coming of age, that maybe they thought that I wouldn't have the ability to properly convey tone, and they might have been right. I think the hardest thing about that short would have been to nail the tone. But yeah, that's I agree. I think if we ever get to make it after this fucking panini pandemic, it would be a lot of fun.
The way I was seeing it would be like we'd have to play with light a lot.
Yeah.
So like at nighttime when he's sleeping, when he's hearing these things, I was thinking like, really dark with like some lights maybe shining through, maybe like a red, like dark green. And then the second it goes to day, like maybe not even cut. You just do like a solid that just goes bright. And I think that would change the tone immediately. I think you could easily change the tone within the scenes and then edit around it and make it, well, at least that's the way I envisioned it in my head. And then obviously, as the director and the creator, I don't ever say what I feel I see when I read it. I just go, he's going to do what he wants to do, and it's his vision. Why would I bring up anything? But I think, tonally wise, I think you could have nailed that, especially since you fucking wrote it from the ground up. I think, yeah.
In terms of that, I was already talking with Algar and the set designer. I wanted the fantasy aspect of it to be very much like 1950s Americana. I wanted Natasha to be wearing like a classic 50s housewife dress. I wanted everything to be in pastel colors. And then once we walk out of that fantasy, pastel colors have a very specific quality to them that the moment that they, become affected by time and use, they become very dingy. So the idea was for us to shoot everything first with the pastels and then wear it down to where it looks dingy and unkempt. Yeah, it was going to be a very fun project.
Nah, that would have been great, man. I remember that we were talking like he was going to, maybe I'm going to get this backwards. Maybe he started without glasses and then as he deteriorated, maybe his eyes got shittier, so he puts the glasses on, or it was going to be the other way around. I don't remember. I remember the look was going to change. He was going to get real. He's going to be happy, maybe looking like this, but with better hair. And then as it keeps going, he's
disheveled,
a little fed up.
Yeah, disheveled. Kind of like a. I for that last scene, I see him in a wife beater, which is kind of cliche, but I mean it's a cliche because it works.
I was saying you got the 1950s Americana. Fuck yeah, dude.
And I like the contrast of it being a nice 1950s Americana thing when he's wearing it at first, and then how it just becomes what it stereotypically is, which is a wife beater at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought there was thought into it, and Algar and I don't really talk about our shorts on the podcast just because we feel it's like self-aggrandizing, mostly because we like the projects that we made. We both tried our best to work in projects that we enjoyed and that we believed in, and I'm not saying they were like revolutionary or anything, but for me it's like you're making a movie. Why overblow things, and why make that process excruciating when it can be just a lot of fun?
Also, I want to say, this is just for actors in general. If any actors are here listening, anybody wants to be an actor, when you show up to set, know your shit.
Yeah.
Know exactly what you want to do. Know exactly how you're going to do it. Chances of rehearsal, very fucking slim.
Yeah.
So if you're going to react off somebody else, you might change it in the moment, but as long as you make that shit authentic, good. Because if you have your heart set on one way and it doesn't go that way, so you stick with it, all of a sudden you're fucking with somebody's project. And not only is it their project, your name is on this damn thing.
And there's friction. There's unnecessary friction that builds up.
Do your best work. Help out whoever the hell you can on set to make sure that everything is good. Because it's somebody's vision, somebody's words. You got to put those out there, make them happy, keep getting work that way. And then at the end of the day, your name is on this. Do the best you can do. Other people are going to do the best they can do so that they can show this thing. Nobody wants to spend hours and hours and hours on something just to be let down with the final project. Like, well, that's the best we had to work with.
Yeah.
No, fuck that. If you're going to be that kind of person, don't even do it. Put in all your fucking effort.
Especially at first,
if you're gonna
man.
do this.
If you're not enjoying the process at the beginning, I don't think you're ever going to enjoy it. That was also...
Yeah, that was the most serious I've ever been on here, and so I'm sorry to totally change the tone, but acting means a lot to me. Sorry, continue say what you were.
For me, it's what you just said, right? Like we managed to find a group of people that were as passionate about filmmaking as we were, and we wanted that. Me and Algot really wanted to work with filmmakers. We never called our crew the set dresser or the gaffer or whatever. We were all filmmakers. We were all artists out there trying to figure out how to complement each other's work, right? Because filmmaking is so collaborative. It's insane. And it's such an intimate process. So whenever our teachers would tell us like, oh, you got to learn how to work with everyone, and you got to learn that you might not always like who you work with. I agree. And when they told us like, oh, don't work with your friends because, your friend might not be the best qualified person to do that job. That's where I started to disagree. I'm not going to work with an asshole just because he's certified to be the best in his field.
Yeah, I was going to say, you had friends that were qualified, though.
Yeah.
You got lucky in that. There wasn't just like somebody you stuck around with. You were like, man, I just really like their personality. You stuck with people that you did like their personality and could do anything they fucking wanted to do, and they were good at it.
For me, it was mostly because I went to film school knowing that I was going to college for something that I didn't need to go to college for, right? Like I could have stayed here and worked my way up from the system in different ways, but I wanted to go to college because I wanted to find these like-minded people that I got lucky and found. But my idea for college was find people who love film, who love working in it, and who you like, in that order. Sorry, it does sound a little bit cold and calculated, but for me, it was true. That's what I wanted out of the experience. And I got very lucky because everyone that we worked on with these thesis films and with later shorts, like the ones that we were talking about, Domus, it was that, right? It was all of us trying to figure out a better way to do our best work, not spend all our life savings and then use it towards a portfolio, and like Nicole, who was the set design.
And let's just give a little shout out to her. She's now working on that Clarice show. Yeah. So let's say if anybody's watching that on CBS, I believe, good to her, man. That's awesome. Good
for her. And honestly, like she worked on my thesis film and I loved her and I loved her work and I knew she was going to be able to make it, right? Because you need a certain thing to make it on professional sets. It's not... It's not a walk in the park. It can be really fun. It can be really rewarding, but it's hard work. And I think some people overlook that because we're artists and because we're alternative or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, but you're an actor. Like, and it's like, no, bitch, like you put yourself in front of a camera and like, dude, really, truly be vulnerable for other people's enjoyment. Like
I move back to my hometown tomorrow. There's no acting. There's nothing like that. Not a lot of people know anything about the arts. Not a lot of people get into the arts and shit. Maybe they just don't know how, because I didn't know how for the longest time. But I know that the second when I have to move back tomorrow and I got to start talking to people and say, what do you do? And then I say I'm an actor. The second they haven't seen me in something big, they're going to be like, oh, so you're not really an actor.
Exactly. Like we live in a society where acting has to be fame for you to be a good actor. And it's like, dude, the people that are on Broadway that only very niche geek theater people know, those are just as much as an actor as Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever. It's not fame, hopefully, that a lot of people are looking for. It's about legit, it's about working.
Yeah, doing what you love, because like I don't know how to do anything else. I don't have a fucking skill to my name other than, yeah, I can reach my emotions. I know what I'm feeling and how to hopefully project it there and give somebody what they need. Man, yeah. No, acting means the fucking world to me, and I'm not looking forward to going back to Blenheim, Ontario, because I know it's basically I'm just going to be shunned out of rooms if I say I'm an actor.
I think you'll make it back. I think you'll make it back. I have faith in you, bro.
I hope that I get the call from you, like, yo, Larry, I'm going to work on this thing. I want you to be. For you, man, I'll play a fucking tree. Let's do it.
On that note, Larry, tell us, what have you been watching this week? Is there anything that you would like to recommend to the audience?
Honestly, what I'm going to recommend is a film from 2005. It's a rom-com starring the man with three faces, Ryan Reynolds. I say that because the man has three acting styles, and I can only think of two right now, but I'm trying to be kind with three. This one, at this point, is like 2005, and I had already known what Ryan Reynolds was going to give us. But this one, I enjoyed it. I thought it worked well, and it's Just Friends. I don't know if you've seen that one or not.
I've heard of it.
Yeah,
I don't think
so
I've
that
seen
one,
it, though.
Oh, well, I recommend it. So, he grew up in this small town, and he was this fat, chubby dude, and he really had a crush on Amy Smart. He was basically in love with her, like it's a high school love, even though she was always with the jocks and the people that treated her wrongly. And so he professed his love, and they kind of made fun of him for it, the town, because it was at this big party. And so he like leaves the town. He says, I'm going to be somebody. And then he is. He's a big, I believe it's a music producer. And he ends up having like relationships with all these famous people. And something happens. He has to go back to town, and he has to bring his now girlfriend, which is played by Anna Faris. And she's this big like pop star who's fucking eccentric as hell, crazy, and I dig it. I think it all works. And then he ends up meeting up with Amy Smart's character, and he still has all those feelings. And now he's Ryan Reynolds. So, you know, he gets him wet. So things are kind of happening, and just check it out. It's a nice rom-com where Ryan Reynolds' acting actually fits in.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, like, you know what I mean. Go continue. What recommendations do you have, Mal?
Well, I'm gonna recommend something different to what I told you I was gonna recommend.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm switching it up. Basically, I rewatched. Like I have very little time right now, and when I have very little time in my life, I tend to rewatch movies that I really enjoyed instead of trying to venture out and find something that I like. It's kind of like a comfort thing. So I've been rewatching a bunch of movies that I like. If you go to my Letterboxd right now, it's like 4 stars, 5 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, just because I really like these movies. And one that I saw yesterday is Almost Famous. It's a 2000 movie directed by Cameron Crowe. And honestly, I fucking love that movie. I don't know what it is. I think it's a really good coming of age film. And it's about this 15-year-old who lies his way into becoming a reporter for a very big rock magazine. And he ends up following one of the biggest bands of the moment within the film. And he just follows them as they tour because he's writing an article on them. And it's a lot of fun. It's very, very nostalgic, even though it's from a time that I would have never lived because I was not born. And I was not born in the United States. But there's just something about it. There's something about a movie that kind of oozes love for music. And I don't know. It's also kind of weirdly depressing at points.
As life is.
Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And I think more people should watch it because I think it's just really good. If you're interested in the cast,
I'm going to add on
Billy
a
Cudrup,
little...
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna add on a little something there because that was written and directed by Cameron Crowe, and he was getting to the cast. Jason Lee's in there. I'm a fan of Jason Lee. Cameron Crowe did another movie with Jason Lee called Vanilla Sky.
Yep.
I recommend that. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Just go watch it. Continue. Sorry.
Billy Cudrup is in it. He's basically the frontman of the band. Kate Hudson is like their main groupie, and then Patrick Fugit is our main character, 15-year-old journalist. And it's really, I think you should watch it. It's fun. It's a fun, comforting watch for me. So yeah, that's my recommendation.
You can even watch it twice. There's a theatrical and a director's cut.
Yeah, exactly. But going from heartwarming and rom-coms, let's jump into this week's movie with David Cronenberg's Crash. Crash was directed by David Cronenberg. It's an adaptation of a novel with the same name, written by James Ballard, which is also the main character's name, but I'm not judging. And it was released in 1996. It won the audience it won an award in Cannes. Francis Ford Coppola was kind of like the president judge of Cannes that year, and he was like, if we're gonna give this fucking movie this award, I want to distance myself from it because I fucking hated it. And it was very polarizing when it came out for obvious reasons. Just a quick synopsis for y'all. It's about a commercial director played by James Spader, and how after a car accident leads him and his wife down to this kind of weird underground kinky fetish group that sexualizes car crashes. And I'm not gonna lie, Larry, that summary got me. I was like, I'm interested in this. That sounds like Cronenberg enough for it to get my attention. If we're getting to like a 5-minute spoilery free review, I don't think I got the movie. Because
here's the thing, I wish I didn't look at a synopsis, because I probably would have been more into it, because I feel like the synopsis and what I saw doesn't match. So here's the synopsis I saw.
I agree.
After getting into a serious car accident, a TV director discovers an underground subculture of scarred, omnisexual car crash victims who use car accidents as raw sexual energy they produce to try and rejuvenate his sex life with his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not the movie I saw.
It is not. It is not. And I here's the thing. After I watch a movie, I try and research about it and trying to bring something to the table with it for the podcast.
Yeah.
And most of what I found was people really liking it and really praising it and doing all this stuff. And I was like, I don't think I can get on board with this, because truly, I did not get this movie. I thought it was boring half of the time, and it was kind of like a softcore porno the other half.
Yeah, but it's got a porno rating, NC-17.
No shit.
It's rated for porn. Even though, here's the thing, there wasn't that much nudity.
No, weirdly enough,
you get the sex scenes, and everybody's obviously acting well. You get like one breast at a time,
which is
literally every shot.
All the time that happens, I'm like, that's weird. Do women do that?
It's literally every scene, every woman, you get just one breast out. It's never two. You get one scene where you see somebody's bush, and then, there's a hand there covering the actual vagina. But for NC-17, here's something that bothers me. And spoilers. I know we're not doing spoiler talk, but here's a spoiler. There's no penis.
There is
At
no
point
penis.
do you get to see a penis. If you're giving me an NC-17 unrated sex movie, give me some fucking cock somewhere.
I thought they were at least gonna show some ass, but no.
Yeah,
there's no ass. And I think our spoiler-free thoughts are about done. We didn't like it. Here's the thing about the movie, right? Spoiler alert. Okay. if you want to go watch it, go watch it. I think David Cronenberg is a really interesting director. And I think most of his movies are trying to say something really interesting. I did not find it here. But maybe you can, and you will join everyone else who fucking sucks this movie's dick. My issue with the film is not even that there's a lot of sex. And I'm happy that Alga didn't see this movie, because he would have fucking hated the amount of sex that there is. And it's also like drawn out sex.
Really, I disagree with that. I thought the sex scenes were pretty short. I mean, there were
maybe it's just because
I wouldn't even say there was a lot. There's maybe 10 at the most, but they were short.
The thing is, you have to look at it as like a 1 hour and 20 minute, 1 hour and a half movie.
140 actually.
Okay, so at that point, it's like, I think maybe I felt that we're drawn out because they cut from one sex scene to another sex scene. Like,
but here's the thing. There's no story.
There is no. That's
So,
why. That's what
draw it
I
out.
think that's why it's an NC-17 rating, because it's like, it's a porno. Like, there's no story. These people are just fucking. And like, look, man, I'm not a prude. People who've seen this podcast and people who know me in real life know I'm not a prude. But motherfucker, man, like, if I wanted,
I jerked off this morning in preparation for this.
I could have just, sat down and watched some porn, and I would have gotten the same kind of narrative satisfaction that I got out of this. Because there's so many things for Cronenberg to explore that he never does, to my knowledge, right? Because I was reading this thing that was talking about how this movie comes out, and it's trying to capture how people felt at the turn of the millennium, the late 90s, and how they really didn't think about the future, because for a lot of people, they like the change of the millennium was such a big thing back then that they thought there was really nothing to fantasize and futurize about, because what if there's no more future, right? What if the 2000s is such a change? I don't know. I was born in 98. I definitely have no idea what that feeling was like. But because I can't relate to that feeling, then maybe I'm missing a whole lot of subtext within the film, because I truly cannot understand what the point of it was. I think the sex scenes are well acted. I think they're pretty racy. I can understand why people had issues with such a graphic representation at the time. I don't think it's something that you haven't seen in Game of Thrones. If you've seen Game of Thrones, it's a pretty similar in its raciness. I thought there was going to be more car crashes. I thought there was going to be more of like a visceral thing. Also, I don't understand his wife's character, James's wife's character.
The thing is, I was going to say, my biggest problem with it is the characters. I think there's only one interesting character in this entire film. And honestly, if the synopsis didn't say it was his wife, I would have no idea it was his wife.
Yeah. Honestly. Because I just don't know half of the time what's up with her, right? She's, on the one hand, they're all sex addicts, by the way. They're all fucking sex addicts.
I was going to get to that. It says in the synopsis, they'd use this like subculture to rejuvenate their sex life. I was like, their sex life never stopped. No. They're fucking sex addicts. Yeah. They're just, and they fuck other people, and openly they know about it. They're not necessarily cheating per se, because like they know they do it, and then they discuss their sexual encounters with each other after the fact. But like, why do I give a fuck about any of these people? Why? Why am I following them? What am I supposed to give a shit about? His next nut? Because I don't. I don't give a rat's ass. Like, here's the thing. I enjoy the actors in this film. Like James Spader, he's fine. He doesn't do much for me, but like I don't hate him.
I like his silky voice. He has a great voice. Right. Like whenever he talks, which is not a lot, by the way. For him to be the main character, he has probably the least amount of lines out of everyone. Right? But when he talks, for sure. I get the appeal of James Spader when he talks. I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's nice. That soothed me.
I liked his film Dream Lover. which I haven't seen in a long time. But like him and Michael Douglas did a bunch of like the sex thrillers.
Yep.
In the 90s. So I don't know. Check out Dream Lover if you want. It's pretty predictable, but I think it's a little bit more enjoyable than this. You got Holly Hunter. Why is she here? You could have had anybody else. Not that I'm saying she's a bad. Holly Hunter's wonderful, but I think she's wasted. I think she's totally wasted. What'd she get? Like 3 scenes?
And she's like the co-star. She's billed as a co-star. Every poster that I've seen.
She's got second billing on what I'm looking at.
Yeah, every poster that we see of the movie has her name on it, and she's like in it 3 times, and not even like in it. She's just like having sex.
So let's get into the spoiler here. I know we're already into spoilers, but let me talk about this. The first scene where we meet Holly Hunter, she was doing some hanky panky. I don't know why I called it that. She was some sucky fucky, whatever you want to call it. She was doing some sexual acts with her husband in this car. James Spader's looking at some papers, gets in a car accident, kills her husband. She's not very upset by this at all. And it is said to be her husband. It's not just somebody she's fucking in a car. It is said to be her husband. So next thing, she meets up with James Spader a few weeks later. He's all healed up after the accident. First thing they do, go out on the road. He's a little nervous because he just got in that accident. Makes sense. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get this. Next scene, she goes, oh, go to this parking lot at the airport. It shouldn't be busy this time of day. And then they just have sex. This guy just killed your fucking husband in a car accident. You're out driving and then what? Maybe there's like some things there where she's having trouble coping and that's how she wants to just let it go. Cool. I can get behind that. If we get into that, we don't.
No.
It's just, they just fuck and then you don't see her for a hot minute. And then he takes her out on a date, even though he's married. When they go to meet this dude named Vaughn, played by Elias. I can't pronounce his last name correctly, but I think he is the only interesting character in this film, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Him, I do understand. He fits into the synopsis.
Yeah.
This man needs these car accidents to get off.
Yep.
He needs this shit.
Yep.
He is all about fucking car accidents, and what he perceives it as is, I think there was like a line of dialogue where it's not destruction, it's like fertilizer or something. Mal just watched it. I watched it like 2 days ago, so it's a little fuzzy, the lines exactly, but his character I totally get, and he plays it off well. So I don't remember what he does for his day job, but his side job is he recreates these famous car crashes. And when I say recreates, I mean they will actually hit the cars. They will cause the car accidents. So they do the James Dean one with, what was the car? Something Bastard.
Little Bastard.
Little Bastard. They do that. He's in the car while they do it. He's got a microphone. He's describing the whole thing. Well, he's got blood leaving his head because, he was just in a fucking car accident. And then later on, the other guy that was in the car accident, he tells about another actress that died. She had a dog in the back seat. Later on, he's driving with James and his wife, played by Deborah Kara Unger, who I don't mind her.
She's fine.
She was in Payback, which is a Mel Gibson movie, so I'd recommend that. Check her out. She's also in Silent Hill, which, as far as I know, doesn't get a lot of love, but I don't mind the first Silent Hill movie. So there you go. Check those out. But he sees this car accident and he starts taking pictures. You think maybe he's going to, like, he works for the press or something. Nah, man, this dude's totally wanking. He's wanking to these car accidents. No fucking problem. And he sees his friend in the car dead. And he did the thing with the dog. So he's wearing a dress. He's in drag. So he's trying to be this actress. And he's not sad that his friend's dead. He is upset that he couldn't wait for him to do it with him.
Yep.
And I'm like, I get that. I understand your character. You haven't shown me anything different. And like, we literally get that characterization. Everybody else, though, it's just, why are you doing what you're doing? I don't understand.
None of them.
Rosanna Arquette's in it for a little bit. And I really like Rosanna and Patricia Arquette. I like them a lot. And I thought with what little she was given, she did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
You can tell that that's a fucking person.
For me, it was a little bit too much like her character in Pulp Fiction, just because of how she's presented and just how she's introduced to us in the movie. But it is what it is. To me, the thing that makes, okay, I've read that David Cronenberg approached this purposefully, right? He wanted it to be cold. He wanted it to be detached. He wanted it to be like an observational thing. That's why all these characters are the way that they are. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you're looking for, it worked in the sense of like you made it possible. Did it land for me? Not even close. Honestly, in between the sex scenes, there was a point where I was like, oh, another sex scene. Like, I was just like, I was so completely uninterested about what was going on. Because here's the thing. The synopsis says that it's so that him and his wife can rekindle their relationship, right? And that's an interesting concept, right? Because there's a lot of people who are in marriages who say, oh, you just got to spice it up a little bit. You have to keep the fire burning, right? And I think that them going down this rabbit hole of like car crash fetishists would have been a very compelling story to tell. But I don't think that the novel or this movie were interested in that. It was more of like just the obsession that people have about sex, I guess. And it's an interesting concept, but then dig deep into it. Don't just show me sex to show me sex, because a lot of people were talking about how the sex scenes are not gratuitous, and I'm sorry to say, but they are, and they just don't make sense in my head. And it's like, oh well, maybe it's just because you don't have a
especially the last one.
Yeah, but that's because I don't understand her character, right? Because when she has sex with Vaughn, right? They're in the car wash. I'm like, is this rape? Is she enjoying it? I'm very confused. And then you have that post scene where it's like she's all bruised up.
Her husband's in the car too, not stopping anything. He's just watching.
He's just there for the ride. And then but then the next scene, she's lying down, she's all bruised up, she's crying, and then he's there, he's consoling her. So then I don't understand where she starts to also be into the car crash enough so that they engage in this cat mouse thing at the end of the movie, and then have sex after she's like crashed, but she's not fucked up. So she's like, maybe next time I will get fucked. I don't get it. I don't know how we got here.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it was Holly Hunter's character, maybe she misses her husband. Maybe that's a little jump we could have made. Maybe if it's Rosanna Arquette's character, maybe she doesn't want to live like she is with her legs in the braces, so she drives to cause an accident to die. I get that. Her character, however, I do not get either. I don't understand why she wants to do the car crash thing. She didn't seem to give a fuck about any of the stuff. She wasn't there for any of it. She just met Vaughn once, fucked him. All of a sudden, ooh, I'm gonna get in a car accident now. Yeah, why? Literally, the tagline for this movie should have been "Why" instead of the most controversial film you will ever see. Which I argue, fucking Gone Baby Gone is more controversial than this film.
Oh, the Afflecks. Anyways, I feel that there's not even plenty for us to talk about, right? I will talk about something in a second just because I want to touch on it.
I messaged Mao right after I watched it, and I said, you saying you wanted shorter episodes? I don't think we're going to have a problem with this one.
Yeah.
And then he said, why? And I said, you'll see. There's not fucking much to talk about.
There's not much to talk about, really. Like, they have sex. I think it's very well crafted sex scenes. They're for the most part, I'm there with them. I don't see the point behind them. I don't think the story does anything to push the story along. I don't think these characters are interesting, except for Vaughn, I guess. Which leads me to my point, and I will give props to this movie for doing what it did as follows. Right? there we know that Vaughn is into the whole like car thing. Okay, that's what really gets him going, to the point where he doesn't care if he's with a man or with a woman. Like at that point, it's just about the kink, which again, very interesting trait. Sad that it wasn't explored. And I think this is why people in the BDSM culture and in all of these like sexual subcultures feel misrepresented, because they're either fiends, sex fiends in movies, or, you know, they're kind of like dark and kinky and fucked up, right? There's nothing about their kinky sex explained, and there's nothing for us to gravitate towards, because you might be like, oh, well, you know, it's such an out there kink, but we all have our kinks, right? We can all relate to that. We can all relate to having a thought, a sexual thought that we're like, ooh, I probably shouldn't say that out loud because, you know, it's kind of fucked up. But it's not explored. It's just there. And because it's just there, there's nothing for us to really dissect or talk about, because, sorry, it's just not explored. However,
no, it's not.
I will say this, right? For a movie made in the 90s, late 90s, you know, the after effects, or let's call it the secondary effects of the AIDS crisis was still a thing. And Cronenberg decides to put a man on a guy on guy scene, right? Here's the interesting thing about this scene for me is how tender it is in contrast to all the heterosexual sex scenes. Like, I don't know if you noticed. First of all, it's not explicit at all. I think they get like a little bit of like leg chest action, but it's like,
I'm gonna say if there's any scene to put a dick in, it's this one.
Yeah, but there's no dick, there's no ass, there's barely any skin, right? But it's shot very closely, and like I said, it's edited very tenderly, and it ends with Vaughn turning around. You know, we assume it's for them to have anal sex, and he's like, his face is up against the wheel, and he like sighs and has a smile on his face, and he like, it's a very tender moment. And I was like, you know what, Cronenberg, you might have fucked up with the rest of this film, but at least you gave a little bit of like what I was saying, right? Like they're having consensual sex, and it's not rough, and it's not like depravatory like most homosexual scenes were, you know, pictured back then. So props to that. But other than that, man, I'm honestly running out of things to talk about this film. Like, I have nothing else to put there.
There's not much, dude. Like, I'm glad we had the beginning of this podcast, because like once this movie came in,
I mean, the score fits. Howard Shore he makes good scores. He made one that fit the movie.
Howard Shore makes good scores. But
even that is not really anything. It's just very similar to every other erotic thriller score that came out of that era. So that's sad.
I tell you what, I haven't done it yet. And I told one of my friends that I'd give him a name drop. So I'm going to do Mike, because I know you've been watching every single episode because you're the man. Don't watch this movie, but watch this episode. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. Watching this movie didn't make me queasy or like uncomfortable. It honestly bored me to fucking death. So with that,
like I said to him, I had to watch this thing 3 times to see it once. First time I put it on, I fell asleep. Second time I watched it, I fell asleep. Third time, I forced myself to stay awake.
Yeah. Ratings.
So out of 5 on Letterboxd, I gave this a very kind 2 out of 5.
Yeah. I think, look, people who've listened for a while know that we don't like shitting on movies. We truly don't.
No. I think it very rarely happens.
Yeah, it rarely happens. And when it happens, we like to preface our rants with the idea that, you know, movies are subjective. And if you enjoyed this film, I have nothing against you. I really don't. It's not a bad film. Like, objectively speaking.
No,
it's well made, it's well acted.
You like what you like, and you like it for your reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you manage to find a connection with this movie, or if you manage to find a point to this movie, I would love for you to share it with us, because I couldn't. So I'm honestly open to having my mind changed about this film, but I'm also very happy to probably never watching it again. I will also give it a 2 stars out of 5.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to say that it's probably going to be great when Algot gets back, because we do not discuss this shit beforehand. We do not know what we're going to say, but I think for the most part, me and Mao agree on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's really a dynamic like there is with you and Algot, because you and Algot definitely see things differently.
Oh,
and it works.
We do. But yeah, I feel like I got nothing out of this movie. Sorry. I think Holly Hunter was grossly misused. I agree with you. James Spader has a nice voice. But that's pretty much it. There's nothing. Like, some people even called this like a body horror movie. And I'm like, but I mean, I guess there's some scarring. Like, for me, body horror is like, Saw, or like Final Destination, or like The Human Centipede.
Or even another David Cronenberg, The Fly.
Yeah.
Got some body horror for sure.
Shit. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I love that film. Yeah, there's just nothing that people say about this film positively resonates with how I felt about it. So yeah, I don't think I'll give this a rewatch anytime soon. No, I really don't see any scenario where I'm like, oh man, yeah, let's watch Crash.
You know what? Weirdest thing, if I rewatch it, like, I know I made the joke about being super depressed and whatever, and I maybe mean that. If I ever get super depressed, I will rewatch it. But if I'm gonna rewatch it and not be super depressed, I'll actually probably watch this with my mother.
Interesting.
Yeah, she really liked the American Pie series, and so like the sexual things and stuff don't bother us. Like, I can watch it with my parents, or I guess my mom, and I mean, I'm fucking like 30.
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit at this point? I'm a fucking adult.
Yeah.
So I would watch it just to see her opinion, see if she turns it off or falls asleep or what, because she will turn off movies. I don't. I fall asleep and then I have to catch back up.
I honestly, for me, falling asleep while watching a movie is like a death sentence. There's movies that I have fallen asleep watching that I know I would have liked if I hadn't, right? Because sometimes I fall asleep just because I'm tired.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't put movies in if I'm tired anymore, because I know it'll fuck up its chances.
I tell you what are name at least 2 movies that you've fallen asleep to, and maybe when you stayed awake, your opinion changed or not. Just,
I think,
because I definitely have 2 in my mind.
I think if I would have not been tired and just like fucking exhausted when I watched Eraserhead, I would have probably enjoyed that a lot more. I think there's a lot of David Lynch in that movie that I enjoy, that I would have liked it more had I not fallen asleep to it multiple times. And the other one, there was another one that comes to mind that I just watched like 3 times just because I kept falling asleep to it, because I kept watching it late at night. But you hit me with one, and then I'll try and remember the other one.
Okay, so we'll go back and forth. Okay, so the first one that I remember, Ridley Scott's Gladiator.
Good.
The theatrical cut.
Yeah, true. Good choice.
Puts me to sleep without fucking fail. Without fail. I swear to God, I watched it 8 times. Fell asleep every fucking time. But get this shit. I gave the extended director's cut a chance. Stayed awake for the whole fucking thing. Explain that to me.
Yeah.
Longer movie. It had my attention the entire time. What?
Oh, actually, this is a funny moment. There's a movie by David Cronenberg's son. It's called Possessor. And I think if I had not seen that while fucking, half asleep, I would have enjoyed it more. Because I passed out the first time, and then the second, it's such a fucking like pay attention to movie that in my head, like when I try to catch up, I was like, oh, now I have to, like, I might have to go back to the beginning just to understand what the fuck is going on, and I didn't. And I think some things didn't land just because of the grogginess of the situation.
Yeah.
But I thought it had very nice visuals. Yeah, I think that's why I don't watch movies at night anymore. Well, not at night, to fall asleep to, just because now they ruin the experience. So,
The other one that I remember falling asleep to, and honestly, I'm not sure it ruined the experience. I think I got the same exact experience when I stayed awake for it. It's my second least favorite movie of 2014. I know that it's widely not loved, so I'm not alone in this. It is The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
fair.
So I saw it in theaters, like opening night, fell asleep, realized I fell asleep, woke up, and at the end, I was like, didn't make a lot of sense to me. I must have fallen asleep during the scenes where it connects to things. That's just what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, so I can't judge it solely on this. I went the very next day to rewatch because I was like, that's on me, man. I watched the entire thing. Still didn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how things connected. That I legit told myself, did I fall asleep again? I must have fallen asleep again. Oh my God. How did I do this? I went a third time. Not like I think it was the following weekend. I was like, I got to take some time off here. So I went a third time. I downed 2 energy drinks beforehand. My heart was just a pump, and I'm watching this thing. When I got done, I was like, oh no, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, cool.
I'm actually very sad about the direction that they took that Spider-Man in, because I actually really enjoy Garfield's take on Peter Parker. And
Right on, man. Yeah, no, I enjoyed the first one for sure.
Yeah.
And this one, I thought it had things going for it. It just
like
maybe
what's up with the whole like Peter Parker's parents are spies thing? Like, why make a subplot that is so fucking like not
and
even?
Apparently, they shot it where he comes back at the end as dad or something.
I think so.
They took it out. I don't know.
It's just sad.
But honestly, it's still, even after that, wasn't my least favorite movie of that year. So good for you, Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Worst movie of the year?
It was the Gareth Edwards Godzilla.
No shit.
I absolutely loathed that fucking film.
I really enjoy Godzilla. So
yeah, we finally disagree on one.
Disagree. No, I do. Well, we disagree on that on Tenet. I love Tenet. I've watched it like 10 times now. I fucking love that movie. People on the podcast
I need to you know what, dude? We should do like a separate thing, literally, where we just do commentaries for movies. Because I would love to hear your opinion on that while it's going on, because I would love to shit on it while it's going on too.
The thing, just really quickly, the thing about Tenet for me is just that it's a movie theater experience. That's it. It's honestly, everyone else is trying to look at it at a higher angle. It really isn't, guys. It is just a movie to sit through and watch. The movie literally tells you, don't try to make sense out of it. And that's honestly just how I
wonderful.
take it. I think Robert Pattinson's fucking amazing. I love the score. I honestly think it's really well made in terms of like the crafting of it. Maybe not the narrative. The narrative, I will agree, is kind of like all over the place. But I enjoyed it. I really do enjoy Tenet a lot. If you have stuck with us up until this point, thank you very much. We hope you've enjoyed this shorter episode on Films on Fika. Well, it's not necessarily shorter. It's just shorter movie talk. Sorry. Cronenberg didn't really give us much to work with. Anyways, thank you for joining us. If you've enjoyed it, let us know. Alga, we miss you. We'll be seeing you soon. And Larry, thank you so much for being my co-host for your 4-episode
Thanks for asking.
Guest stint. I really enjoyed having you on, and I'm sure it's not the last time we'll have you on. And
I hope not.
Yeah. With that, I think if you want to take it away, Larry, you can do it.
Right on. Okay, I will take it away. I don't know how to really take it away because he did a really good exit. So just everybody out there in the world, stay happy, stay safe. If you can't do that, Sorry. Namaste, namaste night. Whenever you're watching this, just take care. And thanks for checking out my boys' podcast.
Yeah, have a good one.